afternoon, all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show. And I'm your host, Sal Greco. Thanks all for tuning in to this wonderful Thursday edition, we'll say. If you can, please, if you're on YouTube right now, please hit that like, share, subscribe button, hit that notification button as well. If you're listening or watching on Rumble, please hit that Rumble button, hit that like button. And if you're watching or streaming live on X right now, please repost this button, hit that like button if you can, and share this out to all your friends, especially those in the low information bubble. With that being said, once again, I send my condolences to Officer Islam's funeral right now. It's going on. My condolences to his family. If you can, please go to Barstool Sports, buy that shirt. That helps out. They give the proceeds to the family. So I know that's going on right now, and I just want to send my condolences, because it's really it's a heartbreaking to see this happen, and still people that want to politicize things. It's rather disgusting. There it is. There's the Back the Blue shirt. Please, if you can, they actually send the proceeds to the family. Okay, so it's not like Dave Portnoy's making money on this. So if you can, please check that out and help out the family. So, but there's a lot of news that happened, and predominantly one thing in particular that stuck out yesterday, something that has been mentioned over and over and over again on this network. And on this show, I actually told you what was being written by the Gothamist yesterday by Elizabeth Kim. And it mentions our dear former party commissioner of the NYPD, Eddie Caban. You could tell right there, it says corruption probe of ex-NYPD Commissioner Caban is on back burner, official says. Now, before I read a little bit of this, just so you know, on this show, not even a few months ago, I stated right off the bat that the investigations were all put on hold. Okay? Some of it, the majority of it, is because of the dismissal of Eric Adams' charges. All of this stuff leads to Eric Adams. All the investigations centered around Eric Adams. So if you dismiss his case, then that's the way it's going to happen. So it affected all the cases, and it affected people that had testified, people that had grand jury testimony, people that pled guilty. All of it connects. But in particular, this case with Eddie Caban had a nightclub extortion racket going on. And, of course, his brother owned Con Sofrito with the one and only mob associate and self-admitted criminal Jimmy Rodriguez in the background, where human trafficking was reported. So none of that is going to see the light of day, apparently, under Trump, who, everybody, some people think he's their deity. He led his DOJ, and it's not the DOJ, it's him. Okay, you can tell, especially now, what he's doing with Ghislaine Maxwell and P. Diddy and the stuff. When we're going to get to that, it's him. He's in charge. Okay, everything falls squarely on him. He makes the final decision. So what's going on here? I don't know exactly what Eric has. We'll get into that. But I want to read a little bit of this. So this article goes to say, federal investigation into former police commissioner Ed Caban and twin brothers' work as a consultant in New York City's nightlife industry has been deprioritized, a government official familiar with the case told the Gothamist. The official asked to be not named because they are not authorized to discuss the case publicly. The update appears to be the first time an official has confirmed what defense attorneys and other legal observers have suspected. Federal investigators are no longer actively pursuing the sprawling investigations into Mayor Eric Adams' administration that sent shockwaves through City Hall last year. And that should come no shock if you've listened and watched this show over the last few months. The Gothamist it says that they did previously report about this, that certain other things were put on the back burner. But, they listed basically, I told everyone, and they all started digging. Basically, that's what's going on here. So, and when it goes on to mention, this is the hard part. So weeks after a visit from federal agents. A Brooklyn bar owner told NBC4 that James Caban, that's the twin brother of Eddie Caban, tried to shake him down for money in 2023. Shamel Kelly's bar in Coney Island, Juice and More, had faced dozens of noise complaints, according to the report. Kelly said that he declined an offer from James Caban to mediate his issues with the local community board and police department. Kelly said he'd been referred to James Caban by Raymond Martin, a mayoral staffer focused on nightlife issues. Remember that name. City Hall fired Martin for violating the terms of his employment shortly after Kelly went public with his allegations in September. Juice and More closed at the end of 2023 because police harassment had drained the business, Kelly said. He was stunned to hear Caban investigation slowed down. I don't know why it would be deprioritized, Kelly said during a phone interview. It's a big, big issue. Kelly declined to tell the Gothamist the last time he had spoken to federal investigators. So, if you remember, he had made that complaint. There's video. We put that up on the show as well. The video of the 60th precinct. I worked there 7.5 years. Showed up to his place because he refused to be sending money to the Cabans. So that was one of the major issues. Okay. This guy was shaking people down. And of course, with Marlon Bethel on another show, we laid out that it's actually the person that owned the property or just bought it, owned property next door. So we kind of the theory here is that the real estate racket, which definitely has their hands, involved in Eric Adams, the police department through Eric is the security force of these people. So that's how that all came about. The theory that me and Marlon were coming up with, particularly Marlon, who was brilliant in coming up with all that work on that. And here is another part. So you remember in the article, it states that NYPD Lieutenant Emilio Rodriguez alleged in a complaint filed with the EEO commission that certain nightclubs and lounges with ties to James Caban were insulated entirely from any law enforcement scrutiny. Despite repeated community complaints, Rodriguez alleged they faced retaliation after he raised questions about what he saw as selective enforcement involving nightlife businesses. Eric Sanders, who was on this show a couple of weeks ago, he's the lawyer for Rodriguez, was not surprised that the Caban investigation had slowed. This is what he said. There's a lot of politics involved with this stuff at the federal level, he said. In April, a judge dismissed Adams' federal corruption indictment at the request of the Trump Justice Department, which is unbelievable. Manhattan U.S. Attorney Office, which was involved in most of the investigations, declined to comment here also. And also here, Adams has dismissed recent lawsuits as unfounded complaints from disgruntled former employees. Everyone's disgruntled in his book. So Serena Townsend, who's also been on this show and represents the 4 executives, recently dropped their bombshell lawsuit. She said in this article, disappointed but not surprised by the investigation's apparent halt. And this is what she said, or she continued. It shows a 2-tiered system of justice. Some are prosecuted to the fullest extent versus others who get to do whatever they want without repercussions. And then finally, John Scola, who represents Tom Donlin, he chimes in at the very end, and he states that this pause of the investigation to Caban sends a dangerous message that public corruption will be ignored when it implicates powerful people. Every honest officer and every New Yorker deserves answers. So this was from the Gothamist. You could check it out, but this is unbelievable. Actually, I believe we have a post or a video in regards to Ray Martin here. So there was a post about that. That's not it yet. Well, we're going to get to that, Jack. But there's a post about Ray Martin that was sent to us by John Macari. Will be up very soon, very shortly. So let's play this.
This is not the 1800s. So we had to take ownership that for whatever reason, there is violence that is associated and give this perception associated with Juve. So that killing ignited a group of us. I was always working very closely with the borough president Eric Adams. Again, I was his kind of liaison to the community in terms of hospitality and nightlife. I should say, Eric, Borough President Adams, has been really a true ambassador. One of the things that people don't realize that where I am now in the mayor's office, this was triggered by him. Yes, and when he was a senator, I was relentlessly, any Black elected officials can tell you, they know who Ray Martin is. And he's a pest.
I believe that.
He's a damn pest.
Yo, shout out to Borough President Eric Adams. I had the honor of being one of the youngest people on his committee, on his Caribbean Heritage Committee back in 2014. I know that he's a staunch promoter of culture and our people of color. He's also very much into health. So I know that we're going to make sure he hears this episode to hear him.
I'll help you to get him on the show.
I would absolutely love that.
All right.
I would absolutely love that.
We'll work on that.
That was the voice of Ray Martin himself, who worked for Eric Adams. And in the comments right now is Eric Sanders, and right here he says, I remember him from the Club Love and Lust case. He gave me shady vibes from the outset. There was a case in the 72nd precinct, and it involved a lawsuit that Eric Sanders brought forward, and Ray Martin was a part of that. So he was involved with this nightclub scene and Eric Adams long ago, and he's a center point of this entire thing. And why these cases are not being viewed, not being investigated, everything's slowed down. You got to look at the feet of one President Donald Trump. If we have, is John Macari with us? I want to get John in here. John, it's great to have you on. And I know you're raring to go with this because you and I we're throwing this back and forth. We're appalled by this. What is your take on all of that?
Yeah. First, I just want to say, my prayers and my love to the officer Ditterall Islam's family. I mean, horrible. Just watching the funeral. It's still live at the moment. But I mean, looking at the article that came out, I mean, it obviously didn't shock us. We knew what was happening. We knew that it was on the back burner. Mm-hmm. And the reason it's on the back burner, in my opinion, is because, again, all roads lead to Eric Adams. That's why the Ray Martin link there is so important, because when the owner of Juice and More had called Ray Martin, the office of the nightlife, who worked directly for Eric Adams, and you just heard just now what good friends they were and how close they were. When he had called them, Ray Martin had basically got him wrapped into this racketeering and extortion ring, where it was like, all right, now it's time to pay up. So, just looking at surface level, it all relates back to Eric Adams. And there is a clear agenda with the Trump administration to work with Eric Adams, not for anything related for the good of the country, but in my opinion, to benefit the Trump organization, to build casinos. We just saw the override of the Bronx casino, of the Bally's casino application in the Bronx. City Council, Christy Marmorato, a Republican, led that charge to deny the application for the Bally's casino. If the Bally's casino is approved, it's being rumored that the Trump organization will get anywhere from $100 million to $150 million. I'm not sure the exact amount. And what did Eric Adams do as a result? Exactly what I said he was going to do a few weeks ago. If you listen to the show, he vetoed that override, basically disregarding the rule of the city council, disregarding the will of the people. They don't want the casino there. It's been long said, wherever you put casinos, crime rises. Bronx community does not want it. And now we see the Trump administration's directly going to be benefit from that. The Trump organization, not the administration. And it's honestly, it's disgusting to watch. And now I know why Trump dropped the case on him. And now you know why this corruption charge against the Cabans and all of the other corruption scandals that came out of the NYPD, them misusing migrant funds, them using debit cards to go out to dinner that was supposedly going to migrants, utilizing the Craylo vehicles, selling promotions. Now you know why it's all on the back burner. It has nothing to do with the benefit of this country. It has to do with the benefit of business. And, like we've been saying, Eric Adams is the billionaire mayor.
Yeah, he's the mayor of the elitists and the illegals. That's his crowd, elitists and illegals. Right there in this article, it states that the Trump organization, whose affiliate formerly ran the golf course under a city franchise, stands to receive $115 million if a casino lands on the site. Adams earlier this year had federal corruption charges dismissed after President Donald Trump's Justice Department withdrew the case against him. And if you remember how this all stated, right? And here's the letter from Christy Marmorato, who, by the way, we've reached out to her office. We're trying to get her on the show. There's a lot of issues trying to get city council members on our platform. I don't know why. It should be pretty simple because we just want to get more clarification on this because she's standing in the way of this casino being put up. She's actually brave enough to do that. She went against people, certain people in her own party. You've been quick to point that one out. I believe, who was it? Councilwoman got an endorsement or something from Trump, and they okayed this. They were trying to go along with this.
The only Republican to vote against the small minority of Republicans that were actually against this casino being built up was Councilwoman Ina Vernikoff. So Ina, I believe, is the councilwoman actually for the district where Juice and More was located, where the business that was being shook down was located. She, for some reason, changed her vote from a no vote that she didn't want the casino to a yes. And days later, not Donald Trump, but Donald Trump Jr. makes an endorsement. I've never seen Donald Trump Jr. make an endorsement. So that kind of raised my eyebrows, and the way they promoted it. And it was right on the heels of her changing her vote. It just appears to be another quid pro quo to me. It's actually absolutely illegal if you're voting for something for an endorsement. So I think, you see clear as day whose interests are at play, and it's not the interest of the people of the Bronx. It's not the interest of the people of the city. It's not the interest of America. It's the interest of making money.
Yeah, and I see the constituents of Council District 48 are incredibly lucky to have Ina Vernikoff, someone who, like our president, is a fighter who never backs down in a fight against the radical left's attempt to destroy New York City. And they tried hard. President Trump's eldest son said in the ad in the lead up to that. And, full disclosure, I was for Ina Vernikoff being reelected there. She's been there for a while. She knows the district, but I didn't know that she was going to get endorsed, and she voted against this. I think that this goes against everything wrong, everything the Bronx needs. They do not need a casino. They could use that money for public housing. They could use that money to throw back into the community. Casinos bring crime. The golf course, this is all about Trump. It's a vanity project, all right? There he is with Ina Vernikoff, by the way. And also, Trump trying to get his name back on the woman rink was another part of this. And that Kaz Dordry, who the parks commissioner is the one in charge of the naming and trying to see who wants to pay to get their name back, name on the woman rink. Kaz Dordry was put in charge of as the deputy mayor of public safety, which is very odd because that's never happened before. So this part, which again, the Trump organization criminal record does count. It can't get the woman rink on a bid because of that. Yet Eric Adams is making all kinds of inroads, and he's trying to cut all the red tape so that they get their name on the woman rink and they get the casino at the golf course. And that, my friends, including the crypto stuff going on behind the scenes, the lawyer that got indicted for having NYPD security, which was the personal security of Eric Adams, extorting and picking up a foreign national, an Italian guy, and torturing him for days in a building where there's a lot that was going on there. Yeah, that crypto guy. So there's so much going on here. And really, I don't know if there's really a justice system anymore, because the way we're seeing is, John, between Caban, what about Madry? Madry, all that stuff. He walked out and nothing happened to him. Oh, yeah, we're investigating. They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything with Caban. They're not going to do anything with Madry.
I think that the thing here is, like, even in Don Trump Jr.'s little gaslighting message, oh, she fought against the radical left and we're not going to let it happen. They're acting just like everything that I thought I voted against. Yeah. A weaponized DOJ, putting business interests ahead of the American public, putting business interests ahead of communities, what they want, what they need. And so they act just like them. So to me, it's like and we have a Republican controlled Congress right now. What have they accomplished? What's happening? And then you look at in January, Eric Adams giving a no bid contract to the New York City Hotel Owners Association. What is that? $1 billion no bid contract. It could be renewed up 3 more times, all up until the entire Trump's presidency, up until 2029. So another $1 billion a year to do what? To house illegals. So what has changed? What has changed on the messaging has changed. You get to click on Benny Johnson and hear about the golden age of America. You could talk to anybody, middle class, poor. They're not thinking it's the golden age. They're thinking it's the golden age of inflation, because when they go into the store, you need a bunch of stacks of gold just to buy groceries. And so, all the things we voted against, we're seeing. And I hate to say it. Listen, I say it often. I mean, I've been a Republican for a long time. I'm a staunch conservative. I've been a supporter of Donald Trump. I mean, all of my stuff shows that. My whole entire history, but I'm calling it what it is. This is garbage. This is a weaponized DOJ. We're allowing corruption in New York City, not because it's a good thing, not because it benefits the country, not because it benefits New York City, but because the Trump organization is going to benefit from it. And it's absolutely disgusting. And the people like Sal, like Marlon, like myself, who got harmed for supporting what this movement and what this president said they supported, lost our careers over it, had our names bashed, had our families disenfranchised. And because of all that, this president turned his back on us and went with the corrupt for financial gain. And it's disgusting.
Hey, John, a lot of people second what you're saying, and they've been saying this for quite a while. I hate to say it's true, but it is. And it hurts because what? I was there in 2015. I went to Trump Tower. I tried to volunteer for the campaign, even though in the New York City Police Department, you can't do that. I learned that, and I didn't follow through with that. But I was also a contributor. I was donating to the Trump campaign from 2015 all the way to the final day he was in office in 2021. And that is a fact. You can actually look that up. And, to get into the next part of this, right, there's Emo Bove, this sleazy, unethical guy that's been floating around in the Justice Department, and then out of nowhere goes to the Trump defense team back when he was facing all those witch hunt trials with Tish James and all that stuff, and the Eugene Carroll case. And Emo Bove essentially replaced Joe Tacopina, and that decision was from Boris Epstein, who is a Trump legal advisor, head legal advisor. Guy has zero experience in the courtroom. He never tried a case. He's also got a little bit of a rap sheet on top of it. And he came to prominence through Georgetown, where he went to Georgetown with Eric Trump, and he went to Georgetown with Emo Bove. Later on, he came in through Steve Bannon, was pushed all over that show, The War Room, which is another, talk about propagating crazy conspiracy. There's the show for you. So Steve Bannon, who's a Jeffrey Epstein associate, along with having Artie Idala as his attorney, who got his cases where he pled guilty but had no jail time. Everyone else went to jail in the Build the Wall scheme but him. Artie Idala, who's Eric Adams' very close friend, throws fundraisers for him, very prominent in the Eric Adams circle. And Bannon brings in Boris, who brings in later on Emo Bove and Todd Blanche as Trump's attorneys. So Emo Bove, who is highly unethical. His record is there's so many people that complain about him. And the things that you even heard lately with him in the Justice Department were a head scratcher. But he's the guy, essentially, that jumped in and told these prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, you either drop this case or you don't have a job here. And they had a meeting, and there were notes exchanged, and then we don't know where the notes are, but they're part of the case. And that's where all of this unethical stuff happens, because he had to sign that paperwork. And now, John, he was approved by the Republicans in the Senate, 50-49. He is your next appellate court judge in the Third Circuit. That covers Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So what do you feel? I mean, if there's a quid pro quo, if there was ever one, there it is. This guy's a judge for letting off Eric Adams in the most corrupt way and manner I've ever seen in the history of the courts.
But, you know, there's a lot of criminal actions there, you know, tampering with evidence, going against witnesses, threatening witnesses, witness intimidation. When you look at what happened, right? You had Republican, lifelong conservatives serving in the Southern District of New York, investigating a crime, bringing that crime in front of a grand jury, and then we're being coerced under threat of their job to say, you're going to say the things you did were wrong or you're getting fired. And we lost 7 people, conservatives, Republicans, Trump supporters. And what happened? The media, the DOJ, Pam Bondi, Email Bove, Donald Trump, the rest of the MAGA crowd painted these people as leftists, as leftists that were politically targeting Eric Adams, who, by the way, till today, they continuously talk about that it was airplane upgrades when it was anything but just that. It was bribes from foreign nations. It was stealing taxpayers' funds. It was illegally accepting donations. It was a lot of stuff there that if you compare the two cases, George Santos is going to jail for about 8 years right now, Congressman, Republican out of New York. He's going to jail for about 8 years. Based upon that, Eric Adams, if you look at what George did versus what Eric Adams did, Eric Adams be facing about 40 years in jail, would have been sentenced about. So, you know, it's disgusting to watch what happened. And again, we're seeing why it's happening. It has everything to do with real estate deals and casinos being built and money getting to private corporations, because that's what Eric Adams is good for. Eric Adams got himself in a jam. He was the poster child for the Democratic Party. Remember, Trump was a white supremacist. He wanted the Trump family to get thrown in jail. He was cheering about E. Jean Carroll, that law that they can now go after and sue Trump for it. He was cheering for all that. So, and he wanted the whole Trump organization to face criminal charges as well. And then on a dime, he flips after his indictment because he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And now we're supposed to believe that somehow Eric Adams is good for this country. And somehow Eric Adams is going to save New York. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. And I'm just, again, I can't help but sit there and go, wow, I thought I voted against what was happening, what I was watching happening under the Biden administration. And it's just a continuation. Yeah, it's truly sickening. You know, and I was going to get this up with Caban, but I noticed yesterday, and I want to get your take on this too. I mean, last week I had Owen Schroyer on the show. We were talking a lot about this stuff. But yesterday, there's a whole thing that says Trump is going to consider whatever pardoning Sean Puffy Combs, the rapper, good friends with people like Jimmy Rodriguez and Eric Adams. Okay. And he right there, Donald Trump seriously considering pardoning Sean Diddy Combs, which means he's going to do it. Okay. On top of this, he wants to also consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, which is, I don't even know where to start. Because what the message here to me, John, is what we're getting is, I don't care about victims. I don't care about who was abused. I don't care about who testified and had to relive the trauma these two animals did to people, whether they actually sexually assaulted or raped them. It doesn't matter, because, hey, either they got the money to pay into the club, or they're friends with certain people, or in this case, both of these people have a direct connection to Trump himself. So what do you have to say about that? Because that is an underlining, I think this sticks out like a sore thumb, him trying to pardon these two people, which is, it's absurd. They're real criminals. This is not Roger Stone. They're real criminals. They didn't testify at Congress. They said, oh, they lied to Congress. They abused people. They destroyed people's lives. You're going to pardon that? I mean, anybody that's going to sit there and cheer about this, which you'll see from the right, you'll see from the right-wing Midwestern social media influencers, you're going to see them cheer that move on, right? Like I think it was about 2 months back, there was a question asked in a White House press briefing by a Fox reporter, and we had spoke about it at the time. And we said that was just feeling out the crowd. He's looking to pardon Diddy. He's like, oh, people are asking me. People want me to. Nobody wants you to pardon Diddy. Nobody. And then, like, you see all the gaslighting around the Epstein case, right? It's gone. Oh, nobody cares about that. Like, no, people care about it, dude. And you know why? People are saying that you're a pedophile. And when you start to pardon people like this, that America knows they've done disgusting, horrible things. They've watched them do it on camera. Numerous evidence was hidden from the American public, but even just the evidence that was there, and even when they were just found guilty on, if you pardon them, I'm going to start to think you're a pedophile too. Like, and I'm a pretty reasonable person, and I don't really go with the wind or where the media goes. But the fact that this is even coming out turns my stomach and disgusts me. And I will say at that point, if a Puff Daddy's pardoned or Ghislaine Maxwell's pardoned, and if we really don't get the Epstein files because good people are going to get hurt, is what Donald Trump's telling you. He had no problem with good people getting hurt by Eric Adams, right? He had no problem with thousands of you being hurt. He had no problem with millions of you being forced to put something in your body you didn't want, right? And he still wants you to celebrate him, even though most of his friends didn't take what you put in your body, what you were forced to do. So if good people are going to get hurt, and that's the excuse we're going to use, I'm going to say that right then and there, I would consider myself no longer a supporter of Donald Trump.
I think he kind of divorced from all of us. He said that the old crowd, the MAGA crowd, the one that you want transparency with Epstein files, I don't need them anymore. I mean, he's starting to. I mean, look, I hate to put this in the way I'm going to say it, but everyone had a problem with Joe Biden's cognitive abilities. They say, oh, he wasn't cognitively there. He looked like he was out of it. It's kind of comical at times what was going on, but they were propping him up for whatever reason. We've yet to be told exactly why. He is 79 years old. He clearly has outbursts. I mean, he's gotten worse over time. I'm not going to diagnose anyone. He is 79. He does have these outbursts, and he acts a certain way that you have to say, okay, we keep saying Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Kesh Patel. Those three, you could go after them for many things. They basically grifted off this Epstein stuff all the way until they got picked in these roles that they're in now. And as government officials promised that we were going to see things. So that's the problem, is not what they were saying as civilians, because you could do what you want. You want to grift, there's nothing illegal about it. But if you go as a public official and state there's files on your desk, we're going to release this, and it never happens, and then you backtrack and there's 50,000 stories to it, you're going to be the fault's going to be blamed on you. But Trump then came out and started saying, who cares about this? And he took the lead. And then I think he also admitted that he told them to do this. So he's the guy really in behind this. But the way he's acting is erratic, very erratic. This isn't the same guy we saw not even 10 years ago on the scene. I don't know what it is, but he's up there in age. I'm not saying, but people that want to scream about Joe Biden and his cognitive abilities and all that stuff, you have Trump that might be going down that road of what's going on with this guy, how he acts, what is he doing at the White House. And is this any different, John, than a right-wing Joe Biden administration? Because essentially he could end up getting impeached. As bad as Democrats are, people might not want to vote next year in the midterms because they're disgusted by what they're seeing. There was a lot of promises made, and I understand there's a ton of things he's doing that might be good. The tariffs, the big, beautiful bill, which not everything is good in there. You got lower costs at the gas pumps, stuff like that, right? Making trade deals. But at the same time, you promised all this transparency, and this thing is just, you made a problem out of nothing, and you got Eric Adams, which clearly will get you impeached. If that ever comes up, Eric will sing like a canary, and we'll find out that what we were stating here would be a fact. They're going to come out and say that. So what makes this any different than a right-wing Joe Biden administration? Because he'll have to pardon himself at the end of this, right? his family, because they're all involved with Eric Adams and whatever's going on there. This looks like a mess, and it's a self-inflicted wound, John. We were this close to having a whole America First like run where we could have had years. I don't know if that could happen now, because the country seems more fractured than before, other than those MAGA influences from the Midwest that you were talking about, because they live in a bubble. They don't want to look at this for what it is. Oh, Trump is great. What? He let who off the hook? He's trying to pardon who? Oh, he's great. Let's just ignore that. Biden was bad. I know Biden was bad, but didn't we elect someone who was going to be better than that and not use the same tactics just in the right-wing manner? Because that's kind of what this is starting to look like, John.
Other than closing the border, I don't see anything that we're doing differently. The big, beautiful bill was way too big and not so beautiful, you know? So everyone that's cheering it up and down probably didn't get into the minutia of it. You know, there's some good things in there. Yeah, but there's a lot of bad things in there, you know? And it's a lot of, you know, Marlon's saying it in the chat now, you know, the big, beautiful bill is a spending boondoggle. But we were promised Doge. We were promised government accountability, right? We were promised government efficiency. And yet we're tying ourselves to mayors, not the mayor who is the number one most inefficient mayor in all of the country, Eric Adams. He spent more money during allowing illegals into New York City, welcoming, spend more money than every state, including his own, which gave New York City some money. On top of every city, you add all those up. You add New York State, every other state that's a sanctuary state, every other city that's a sanctuary state, and the spending in New York City dwarfs that. When you look into those no-bid contracts, it's completely, not only is it inefficient and incompetent, it's corrupt. The money wasn't even going where it was said to be going. So, I mean, we're not getting anything different. Like, you know, everyone's talking about, all this stuff that they captured what the left is doing. It's like, okay, now so we just move funding to our friends and we're doing the same exact thing. And just on the topic of mental cognitive, you know what? I don't think we should have any old presidents like that anymore. I do think people should be well reserved, maybe in their 40s, their late 40s, 50s, where they know who they are and we know who they are and they have experience at this point. But 80 years old, I just don't think it's a recipe anymore. I think the country has to start to move away from that, because I mean, that's what it's looking like. It looks like someone better grab grandpa and let him know, like, you better not pardon Diddy, because you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose the midterms. Once you lose the midterms, they're going to impeach you. They're going to impeach you because of the numerous quid pro quos that you did right out in the open for everybody to see with Eric Adams. And Eric Adams is going to turn on you because he is a snake. He's staying out of all this stuff right now, but he's going to turn on you. He's going to be the number one witness against Trump, and he's going to be saying, they dangle my criminal case over my head. They did this. They did that. He's a white supremacist. It's going to go back to the old Eric Adams. So, you know, I mean, what I'm seeing is absolutely no different from, you know, I voted for a change in this country. I think we all did, and we're not getting it. And this isn't, you know, people are going to sit there and say, John's anti-Trump, I'm anti-this. No, I'm anti-politicians who lie to us. So, and I'm always for, and I've always been for, since I've been out here in the public, for holding elected officials accountable. And I'm well known for holding Republican elected officials accountable, because a lot of times they're just as full of it as the left is.
Yeah. And it's not so much the age, because they're not saying he's impaired by cognitive abilities. I think they made a lot of innuendos, or, you know, towards Biden at the time, because he was past 80 and it looked like definitely he had issues. But I'm saying on the Trump side, it's not, he doesn't have the Biden issue, because he clearly can walk around and run. His outbursts, like the stuff he said last night, I would say on Truth Social, talking about Russia, and I mean, do you want to poke the bear? This country has nuclear weapons and you're making fun of their people, and you think, I mean, do you have any decorum? Or he's gone, I think he's just gone like completely off the rails, because, you know, as time has gone on, it's got progressively worse with that. He says things, he's in big, bold cap letters. It used to be funny, right, at a certain point. But now it's like, okay, we got to be careful, because these other countries, they've kind of realized that you're a little bit of a paper tiger. You say a lot, but what do you really do? He's not tough on Iran and Israel over there. They still hate each other. Ukraine, I'm going to solve the war in one day. They're still fighting every day. And he's provoking Russia now on top of it, instead of trying to be the peacemaker. So what happened to the peacemaker? And I'm just telling you what other people keep pointing out. His behavior is getting more aggressive as far as when you put him to task. Mr. President, whatever. In the past, it was good. He was funny, all that stuff. We like that. But now it's, like I said, we're like 11 years into this now, and the act is getting a little bit old, and people have seen this, and we're tired of this, and we just want the truth. Just be point blank, be honest. That's all I'm saying. I think you would agree, no?
Yeah, I think, I think the antics on the debate stage and when we're dealing with the internal American politics is a lot different than when we're dealing with foreign interests and when we're going towards foreign policy. And I think a lot of the things he's been doing, his administration looks like the Adams administration, a complete gaslighting. Oh, don't worry, crime's down. We're putting memes out on the White House page. We're putting memes out on the FBI page. And there's really nothing of substance there, like we've seen that, Letitia James, she could actually commit mortgage fraud. Nothing's going to happen, right? I have no faith that anything's going to come of that. And then, now they're going after Obama. Nothing's going to come of that. That's just more gaslighting, and then Dan Bongino comes out the other day. It's so bad in the FBI, the corruption. I never thought I would see this. Oh, my God, pray for me. All this garbage. And it's like, Dan, you're in charge, right, dude? Who you fired? Who have you and Kash Patel fired? Nobody, but you bought jets to go jet set around America and show up to UFC events and go to parties. I don't know. I know myself, if I was in charge of a police department, even if I'm as a lower rank, I'm not jet setting around the world, going to UFC events and going to party and hanging out in Vegas. Like, my main goal is going to be doing my job. That's where I'm going to be, probably 23 of the 24 hours a day. That's going to be my focus. And, these are short-term appointments. And to sit there and say that the corruption's so bad, and then to see you at UFC events and doing podcasts and on Fox News 3 hours a day, can't be that bad because you haven't fired one person. So, it's just gaslighting after gaslighting after gaslighting. And I think, I'm highly disappointed in the entire administration.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's Special Hagen. This is what she says here. And she's a friend of the podcast, by the way. She's always in the comments. Shout out to you. She says, this discussion is refreshing because you guys are Trump supporters and are calling him to the mat. The DOJ and the Puff Adams prosecutions is also a reflection of Damian Williams being corrupt and inept. And I'd have to agree with her. Damian Williams' prosecutions of certain people, like he built this RICO case on Ghislaine Maxwell, but it's RICO case on one person. That makes no sense. And Puff Daddy, same thing. Where is everyone else? Why is it just one person? And I'm going to say this. I voted for Trump 3 times. If the same elections were run the same way, I'd vote for him again 3 times, 3 more times. Okay. It's not, and I'm not like I'm having whatever syndrome that I know Eric Dimmler has to say. It's not that, the Donning-Kruger effect or whatever. It's not that. He's the best candidate that you had to choose from. Between him and Kamala Harris, with Kamala Harris as president, it would be far worse right now. She clearly is, she's not set up to be the president of the United States, okay? Joe Biden, you lived through those 4 years. Would you have been better with Donald Trump there? I would venture to say yes, and very high probability of that. And also, he did defeat Hillary Clinton. And yes, those were 4 great years. Unfortunately, they got cut off when he lost whatever happened there with Joe Biden in that election, which now nobody wants to discuss anymore, right? Oh, the election fraud. Oh, that, don't talk about that stuff. We won, so everything's back to normal. So they kind of beat you into complacency now. Oh, we won, so everything is okay. I don't see it that way. And I like to call things out. And me and John are calling balls and strikes. We do it here. Yeah, we're Trump supporters, but we're not throwing pom-poms over everything he does because it affects people, not just us, normal, everyday citizens, people that are working 9 to 5 right now, people that can't afford their rent. His decisions right now will affect that. And I think what we're discussing here will be remembered at some point when it comes up, as I believe it will come up, whether it's the midterms, whatever's going to happen in the next 4 years, his behavior, you can bring this up, and I think it might end up that he has to pardon himself, to be honest, because this Eric Adams thing is really bad. All these people all involved in this stuff. I just think this is not good for business. Yet there were many people in his ear telling him this would be good for whatever reason, and that's what I have to say about that. I don't know what your thought is on that, John.
No, I totally agree with you. I think not only is he going to pardon himself, he's going to pardon half of his administration: Cass Patel, Dan Bongino, Email Bove, all of them. Because I, from what I'm watching, I'm seeing the corrupt actions that I seen from the Democrats, which would lead Joe Biden to pardon all these people. And I'm again, people are gonna take any type of criticism of people, because you either have to be all in on the right or you have to be all in on the left. And if you're not there, you're far right or you're far left. And it's an absolute joke in this country. Like, politics is like, it's low information city. You can't have a nuanced approach to it. You have to get the pom-poms and cheerlead for the left or cheerlead for the right. And, it's just not me. Like, I like to ask pointed questions to people. I want to know. I have children. I believe in this country. I believe in the founding of this country. I believe in the Constitution. And I believe that we can make this world a better place for our children and leave a legacy, right? Ronald Reagan said it best: freedom is never more than one generation from going extinct, but it doesn't get passed through our bloodstream. We have to fight for it. And that's exactly what we're doing by telling the truth. I did a press con. I did an event today with the Vera Institute, a leftist organization with all the black mayors of blue cities on policing. And, I asked them some pointed questions, and it's funny to watch them not answer any of it. And then, it's the same thing when I see when I see with the right. You ask a question: why in God's name would you ever considering pardoning Puff Daddy? And, you're a terrible person, you're a leftist. Like, nah, dude, it makes me think that maybe you are involved in a pedophilia ring. It makes me think that maybe, you're covering for some of your friends who are. It makes me think that you're the type of person that I would never allow my kids around. That's what it makes me think as a father, as somebody who knows how to read people well, someone who was a cop for a very long time, and someone who lived in New York City for 43 years. I mean, I'm just telling you the truth. This is what I see. So, like, to hear all this stuff, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. There's going to have to be a lot of pardons at the end, just like Joe Biden had to do. Maybe there'll even be an auto pen on that one too. Another auto pen scandal to gaslight everybody even further. They'll use it to gaslight the left.
Ghislaine Maxwell, this is the thing: 23% chance, I believe, on Polymarket that she'll testify before Congress in 2025. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. And Special Hagen again says the indictments for Adams and Diddy were poorly drafted. With Adams, there is no way that the NYPD corruption and those deputy mayors, Pearson and, of course, the great Phil Banks, shouldn't have been co-conspirators. And I 100% agree with you that it was done in a way where it's just the same way like Maxwell. It's only one person when it should be many. It should be sprawling. I understand it was future indictments coming, but we're never going to know now, right? We're wondering what happened there. And all of this, I believe, John, ends if all this stuff he's gaslighting me, all these videos of Obama in handcuffs and all this stuff he keeps putting up, go do it then. You're a big, tough guy. You're the president. You have your whole DOJ. You're saying all these documents, Russia collusion. Go indict these people, because that's what America's waiting for. John Brennan, treason, right? Go arrest them. What are you waiting on? You keep gaslighting people, nothing happens, and people start looking at you because you keep coming in and claiming all these things, and then nothing happens. But you're covering up things. That's what this looks like. So it's like you said. So when you cover up things and you gaslight people and nothing happens, the rest of the world sees, this guy's just a paper tiger. So you know what? We're going to keep doing what we're doing, which is what's happening in the world right now with Ukraine and Israel and Russia and Iran. Right here, James Clapper, John Brennan hit back at Trump allegation about Russia probe as patently false, because they know there's not anything, nothing's going to happen to him 11 years later. He was president for 4 years. They did nothing. Now he's president. He's gaslighting people. I don't know, John. I just see it that way. He wants this to end. Let's see some indictments of all these deep staters that they keep talking about. Otherwise, I just think he's headed for his approval rating is going to drop, and it's just going to be 4 years of being stagnant. And, we got to hope that the next guy we vote for is not going to be like this.
No, the administration's being ran like it's a meme page. It's being ran like it's a social media campaign, Like the Finest Unfiltered, like for those of you guys that have been following us for a while, like our social media for a while looked like a meme page. It wasn't representative of the actual conversations, the professional conversations that we're actually having on the platform. So we decided to go away from it. We were like, you know what? It's funny. It's funny to poke at, public officials. And it's funny to like a lot of the stuff we were saying is there. A lot of the corruption's documented via memes. And they were great. But we're like, you know what? For an organization, it's not so professional. But the White House thinks it is. The White House thinks it's okay to run an administration as if they're a meme page or a social media handle. It's funny. Those memes are funny. I laugh at, Donald Trump in chasing in the cop car, chasing Barack Obama and Barack Obama's in OJ's Bronco. I think it's funny, but I don't think for 1 second it should ever come out from the White House. I think it's highly unprofessional. And I think, I agree with your assessment. Like when it comes to politics, people aren't aware of policy. And, I think I fight every day with someone on the fact that I consistently say that all of the public safety policies around Zohran Mamdani, they mirror Eric Adams, right? And now when I look at foreign policy around the Biden administration, other than us shutting the border, everything else that I see, we're still giving money to the Ukraine. We're still in all these wars. It mirrors the same thing we had under Joe Biden. And I'm like, well, what's really okay, we shut the border. Okay. But whenever I'm in New York City, I see illegals selling illegal food and illegal shit all over the city. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where's ICE then? Where are you then?
Nowhere. I don't know where. Well, the easy thing to do is actually what they've been doing, but what they shows you all these videos of kind of like someone else that shows you videos of valor. The videos they show you is what they've been doing that for years. I could tell you back when I was a cop, John, I used to say, I should just be waiting at the courthouse. They have these hearings. You could pick these guys off there and there won't be any resistance, no chance of gunfire or gun battles. They're going in and there it is. There's a guy with ICE detainer warrant, but now they're making a big deal about it. They've been doing this forever. It's just like this is just normal stuff that's been going on forever, and they gaslight it into, this is a big operation. No, it's been going on forever. And by the way, New York City can't cooperate with them because it's a law that would have been on the ballot, the referendum that Eric Adams never put on there, by the way. As the mayor, he could have done that twice. He didn't do it twice. So he is the mayor of the illegal aliens, which, by the way, he defunded the CRC team, which is counterterrorism and the NYPD, by funding the migrant crisis, the migrant shelters, the migrants. All he was doing, took the money out of the NYPD, like he said he would, defunding them by attrition, defunding them by taking their budget out and applying it to the migrants. And where's my crumbs, Tim Pearson? That's what he was doing. So when we look at this guy, he's no different than Mamdani. We keep saying this over and over and over again. See, a lot of people think that we're for Mamdani. I don't know where people been. I'm for Curtis Lewa. I'll say it straight in. I'm a Curtis Lewa guy. But Mamdani and Eric Adams are the same. Same thing with the city grocery stores. I think you mentioned that on a space last night. Everything is there. It's well documented, but people say, well, Eric Adams needs to get elected because he's going to save us from Eric Adams. I don't get it. Mamdani's not even a mayor. He's not even a mayor. We don't even know what this guy would be like as the mayor. They're making him into almost like a Trump-like figure. You're building him up into something he is not. And that's why if he wins, you have everyone out there, all these Midwest influences, they have themselves to blame. And they don't care what happens in New York City because they live in Kansas. They live in Ohio. They live in Missouri. What do they care? New York was ruined. It was bad anyway. That's what they're going to say. They've been saying that for years. Now they care, or they care because there's this involved.
Yeah, no, it's totally disgusting, dude. Like he couldn't have paid. Zohan Mandani couldn't have paid money for that publicity. They made him a national name overnight, a national figure. You have no one to thank but Fox News, Newsmax, and all these social media influencers. They made him a national star overnight. Name recognition is something that politicians work decades to get. Zohran Mandani got it overnight, right? When we had him on the podcast, people didn't even know who he was. They're like, get this clown off here. This guy's got no shot. He's never going to win. And I'm like, yeah, watch what's going to happen, bro. You know, and now overnight, he's like a national celebrity and a national figure. And it's like, and just watching the news, like even this hypocrite Mandani. Well, you know what? Right next to him should be Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo said that, you know, that the defund the police was a legitimate school of thought, right? Andrew Cuomo wouldn't pass a bill, wouldn't pass the budget, the New York State budget, without having bail reform in it, right? He wanted all of these leftist policies that Zohran Mandani supports. But Eric Adams, he actually defunded the police. He's the mayor. He's in charge. He's in charge. So it's a disgrace for him to politicize the death of Officer Islam as well. So it's like, to me, I'm like, and I just keep calling that out because to me, voting for any of them is a non-starter, and I just can't see how you could hold how you could hold Zohran Mandani so accountable for his words and not hold the current mayor accountable for his actions. When we talk about the CRC team, that the unit that responded there, the paper's telling you Zohran Mandani wants to get rid of them. Well, you know what it didn't tell you is that when Eric Adams came in, there was 500 of them, and now there's only 100. And he's continuously bleeding them out. They're no longer getting training. You know, I spoke to a couple of ESU guys yesterday, and I'm not going to say the things that they told me, but I horrified, absolutely horrified at what I heard, because I would have thought our top team in the NYPD tactical team, which is the emergency service unit, they run to danger. They run towards danger. They, they go in when there's barricaded people with a firearm, when there's people trying to jump off a bridge, off a building. They're the people that go up on that bridge. They go up on that building. They run to that gunfire. You know, they've saved me a few times. And I gotta say, like, you know, the whole thing is, like we say, when the police get in trouble, who do you call? You call emergency service. And the training and how they're treated and the lack of qualifications, what they're allowing come into their space as well, is something else. It's been happening for a while, but it's sped up on the Eric Adams, and no one's talking about it. And it's absolutely disgusting. And again, when it comes to public safety, Eric Adams and Zohran Mandani are one and the same. There is no difference.
Same policies, same hook lines. Everything's the same, just two different suits. They look different in suits. That's all it is. They both support the same thing. Eric Adams loved having that call to prayer. People say, oh, it's an Islamic takeover, which, you know, there's a lot of overtones there. You want to talk about, whether it's borderline, I don't even know if you want to call it racist, but you're an Islamophobe or whatever. Oh, the call to prayer. Everyone's praying in Midtown. Oh, this looks like it's like a takeover. They're going to, jihad. Eric Adams approved that, by the way. It wasn't Mamdani. Again, people love to and then they want to make this all about religion and race, which is, I thought we weren't built like that as a country, but not in this election. It's all about religion and race. His religion is forefront because he's Muslim. They're making a big deal about that. It's the end of the world. He's going to order some kind of jihad. None of this is true. He's never stated this, but that's what's like. Look at what he's doing. He's at 80% almost now. He's climbing. He's been climbing because they're pushing him. This guy wasn't even in the country. But you have maniacs online. One in particular that was politicizing the death of an officer, called the killer a Mamdani supporting cop hater. Okay, someone very prominent, may I add, in the Trump circle. Okay, and there's a few of them that were on there. That was disgraceful. I got to say, I am tired of seeing politicization of an officer's dying, an officer getting injured. They rush right on there, all these big wigs on social media or anyone important anywhere, and they make it about politics, when clearly someone lost their life and it had nothing to do with this guy Mamdani. you making about getting reelected. I heard Eric Adams on his press conference. Oh, my son, dude, it's not about you, man. It's always about you. Someone is laying there. Someone just lost their husband, their brother, their son. This poor guy's father, he went to the hospital, and here you are making it about you. And I saw what they did. They tried to take the binder. That was another thing you found at the press conference. These two buffoons, Shell and Kaz Dodry. On top of it, Tanya Kinsella. This is ridiculous. It's all about them. And they never care about what's going on. And that, in a nutshell, proves what we were saying. Because they never cared about us, and they certainly don't care about you.
You're 100%, dude. And like, I was listening to most of the speeches at Officer Islam's funeral. There was one while we were on and while I just joined, and it was an imam, and he was, he definitely 100% politicized to death. But you have to look at it from a Muslim New York or a Muslim officer's standpoint. We had a Muslim officer protecting the city of New York get murdered for doing his job, right? Along with a CEO, a straight out of college student, and a security guard, right? All different ethnicities got murdered. And you were told immediately that it was Islamic radicalism, and it was because of Mondani's policies. Mondani's a useless, toothless assemblyman. Eric Adams defunded the New York City Police Department, made the streets of New York City less safe because he got rid of cops. He got rid of cops in the SRG. He got rid of cops in the counterterrorism. He got rid of cops in our bomb squad, all right at the start of his administration, using an illegal vaccine mandate, illegally denying religious beliefs to everybody. And then he's trying to weaponize the death of this officer by placing his death at the feet of Zohran Mondani, using his faith. How would you feel if you were a Muslim cop? I know how I would feel. I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to start saying that this is bull crap. What about this? What about that? What about you guys? What about the Italians? What about the blacks? What about the Puerto Ricans? I'm going to do that because that's what that does. It's divisionary, divisive politics. It's a communist tactic. And so many people today on the right are falling for it and playing this identity politics and dividing us up. It's disgusting. It's one thing if it was true. If it was true that that was a result of terrorism, then that should be brought to the forefront. But they don't even know what it is, and they're jumping online to put out these facts. Why? To gain traction, to get political favor, and to bolster Eric Adams and bring down Zohran Mondani, when all they're doing is ensuring a Zohran Mondani victory. Yeah.
And you saw there that they're trying to take the binder away from Jessica Tisch. First, it was Kaz Dodry. Then it was Tanya Kinsella as she walked by. And, of course, John Shell watching it very closely because, he was going to go on Newsmax and all that after that. And I am of the opinion, like you, like Rob Blue Cash last night stated on Executive Perspective, they wanted this binder so they could go on their little media hits and talk about their nonsense. That's what there is a video, I believe, that Eric didn't post. I don't know if we could get that up. That they were on somewhere on Fox, and I don't know what else to say about these two guys. There's a video that I want to play this real quick and get your thoughts on this. This is ridiculous what they did on I don't know if it was Fox or Newsmax, but you can hear for yourself.
So there's a lot of things that have happened and that it will come out, but the mayor has tasked me a couple of right after this incident. He says, "You did a great job with the drones, Kaz." He's like, "You have to find some sort of technology, some gun detection technology that we can use, that we can implement in the city, so we cannot have an event like this again in the city." So there's a
John, an officer is laying there. They have to put that horrible the flag over his body and take him out. But yet Eric Adams has the time to tell him, as this is going on, "Kaz, you're doing a great job with the drones." And he has to state this on air as he's talking about the events that occurred. What do you have to say about that?
I personally think he's doing a horrible job with the drones. So I don't know what Eric Adams is talking about. Kids are still getting killed subway surfing. People are still drowning at the beaches. And we're still losing cops, about 300 per month. right, at a rate that we've never seen before, and cops' morale is in the toilet bowl. So I have no idea what Eric Adams is talking about. I don't even know if he said that. But, it's funny when it comes to Kaz Daughtry, it's always about him. He said you're doing a great job, and he tasked me to go out and find this technology that already exists, that he was already talking about 3 years ago, where it would be able to detect like anomalies in someone's body part where that you could actually see if there's a firearm on them. So again, he's going to create like he's this technology guru when the kid's a moron. Like, he's going to go back to Taru and say, what do we have? What do we do? What do you guys know? And they're going to tell him. And then he's going to go out there and do a terrible job at selling it. And we're going to get involved in all these no-bid contracts. And then all the CEOs of that company are going to spend money to detract what we're saying here on the Finance Unfiltered and follow us around and monitor all of our posts. And, and it's just the same old tune with these guys. It's all about self-promotion with them. It's absolutely disgusting. Me. I'm going to do this. They don't care about Officer Islam. I personally said they would rather you get killed for the city. They'd rather have your funeral, use you as a talking point. It props them up. It alleviates the press. The press is afraid to say anything because it's a sensitive topic. Let's not talk about it. And the fact of the matter is they're doing a terrible job, and Officer Islam's blood is on their hands.
Yeah, and Stay Trained Up said it. I think he says it best. He said, this dude has no chill button. He doesn't know when to shut up. Kaz Daughtry, this guy is like the next wannabe Eric Adams. Self-promotion, never saw a camera, doesn't want to get in front of, but he's spending taxpayer money making videos. That should not be allowed, and here he is, he himself politicizing the death of a police officer by making it about himself. Oh, so while his body's sitting there cold, Eric Adams has the time to say, you're doing great with drones and you're fantastic. How did this even, why would you even say that? But he is tone deaf, just like the rest of them. But now I'm going to go into something else that you uncovered this. So first, there was a video that we found on Instagram, right? I think it was Instagram by the Hispanic Society. I don't know if we could play this video before I play the other one with Eddie Caban. So play this with the sound. I don't know. Well, this video here.
Energía boricua con música y bandera. Nostalgia y amor entre los boricuas que celebraban su diversidad. Y Cantazo, el burro que deja huella. Una comunidad que se une en el amor. Los uniformados de NYPD representándonos con orgullo. Hombres y mujeres que venimos del mismo barrio. Celebrar lo que nos hace ser comunidad. Llama al 1-800 Cantazo. Estamos en el corazón y en la calle con ustedes.
Al 800 Cantazo.
1-800 Cantazo, which now is basically being pushed by the Hispanic Society. And as you know, Joe Ayala is the president, friend of Jimmy Rodriguez. Somehow he kept his job despite his criminal association there. And also, Eddie Caban was heavily, if those guys, you couldn't not see them without seeing Eddie Caban, right? That's how close they were. But then yesterday you posted, so showing you this, you know that this is a legit company. The Hispanic Society is out there pushing this. So then you posted this video of Eddie Caban. I just got to show it. I can't believe this when you posted this, but let's play this.
Como el primer comisionado latino de la policía de Nueva York, he visto que más inmigrantes sufren accidentes de auto que víctimas de crímenes. Los abogados de accidente de 1-800 Cantazo no comparten información con ICE ni con inmigración. Si eres indocumentado y sufriste un accidente de auto, no temas. Marca 1-800 Cantazo.
800 Cantazo.
John, I don't know what to say about that. This 1-800 Cantazo, clearly they went to Mar-a-Lago, Joe Ayala and them. I guess they don't want Trump because they're for illegal immigration. So what? And then Grok on X told you that was AI when clearly that can't be. When his Hispanic Society, which is so close associated with Eddie Caban, literally has it up on their own page, and now he's out there promoting this himself. but they said that this is for real, folks. This isn't a joke. This is a real organization, and the police department or fraternity, the Hispanic Society, is pushing these people. And then Eddie Caban himself, a disgraced police commissioner that was too busy partying to the break of dawn, allowing human trafficking up there that they did reports for, and nobody knows what happened with. This guy is now for this. So I don't know what you got to say about that, because you found a gem there. That was a gem.
So I got it from a few sources, and the first thing I did is because we get a lot of information from people, right? Some of it's false, some of it's not legit, some of it they want us to put out bad information. So I went to the company's website, couldn't find it. Went to the company's Instagram page, couldn't find it. Went to the company's YouTube page, couldn't find it. So then I went on Grok and I said, Grok, do you think that this is an AI generated video? It's hysterical, right? When I'm watching it, I don't think it's an AI generated video. I think it's legit, but I'm just trying to cover all my bases. So I went to Grok and I asked Grok, is this an AI generated video? And Grok says, based upon the hand movements, based upon the mouth, based upon the lighting, based upon this, it does not appear to be AI generated. So I posted, I said, hey, while he's in the news today, could we talk about this video? Grok now comes back. Grok is X's artificial intelligence, because people are asking. So I re-ask it, thinking it's going to just say the same thing it told me. Then it tells me, well, based upon the fact we weren't able to connect it to the website, we think that more than likely it's AI. It didn't prove that it's totally AI. In my opinion, it's not AI. I mean, and you could see clearly that there is some type of connection to the Hispanic Society. If it is AI and someone made that, please let us know, because that thing is hysterical. It would be a very well-made AI video. I haven't seen AI that good, so I don't believe personally that it is, but I can't confirm and say that it's 100% legit. But I'll put it this way. It would not shock me, right? The guy's accused of selling promotions for $15,000. You don't think that he would sell his ass for a cheap commercial spot on an infomercial?
Which has ties back to the Hispanic Society. I'm flabbergasted by that he would even do that. And for, again, I reiterate, Joe Ayala, the president of the Hispanic Society, Mr. Consofrito himself, who was out there partying to the break of dawn with Jimmy Rodriguez and them up there, and whatever criminal and felon showed up.
Tommy Purdy says he sees it on the commercial last night.
So it is true. That's what I'm trying to say. If the Hispanic Society is posting this is true. It can't be, because they're intertwined with each other. The Caban brothers and the Hispanic Society, because there was 1,000 parties or something like that thrown up at that restaurant, which the NYPD has no problem with. You could associate with criminals and allow human trafficking, whatever else is going on up there, but you don't be seen with a political consultant. So with that, I mean, that video, it's the NYPD co-sponsoring this because there's fraternals there. There's going to be a lot of questions with this. Is this another scam and scandal underneath the Hispanic Society and Eddie Caban? Because you might have found the gem here. There's a connection here. I mean, Lone Silence's rumor has it Caban reminded Grok he's compromised, as he also part of that Con Sofrito. I find that bizarre. That was a gem, and I'm sure we're going to find out more about this. But if there's any questions to arrive out of this, is one, what is the Hispanic Society's involvement with that company? Because obviously there are cops involved. And B, how did Eddie Caban get involved? Because remember, he's under a Myra controversy, right? They went to his house. They raided him. Of course, I've been telling you they poo-pooed this investigation for now because Eric Adams has to be elected mayor, or the Trumps can't get their golf course and their name on the woman rink. But you shouldn't be even involved around this stuff after everything you've seen. I mean, this is ridiculous. I can't believe 1-800, whatever that thing is, Contasso. That's going to be 1-800 Contasso Caban. That'll be his new name. That's unbelievable.
You know,
That
but none of this stuff we know about. You know what I mean? Again, we were talking about Ed Caban going to like somewhere in Saudi Arabia while he was the police commissioner, going to the Dominican Republic, and then because of that, he sends one of his friends to threaten me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And while that's happening, an insurance company from the Bronx comes on my Instagram, an insurance agent, and says, "Get life insurance now. Up your life insurance now." So I call him. I'm like, "Yeah, I want to up my life insurance. You know, I want to come see you." "Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that." I'm like, no. That's exactly how you meant it. I said, "I know who you're tied to. I looked you up. I know your connections to the family. I know your connections to the police department, and it's disgusting and it's disgraceful. And these fraternals, you know, I will give Ayala a little bit of a shout out that he's not as politicized as Patrick Gordon. Patrick Gordon's the other wannabe Eric Adams, who's in charge. He's in charge of the Guardians. So he's looking at a political run. Joey Ayala's not. But there's something there, and something should be looked into. What's that connection? And just as a police commissioner, would you cheapen yourself and do that? Like as a former police, I would never do that. That's like that's worse than when Bill Bratton wrote an op-ed saying that casinos in New York City would make the city safer when he knows he's 100% lying. This is like, it's a joke. Like, your pension's not big enough, dude. You got to do cheap stints for money. Like, it was gross, dude. Honestly, I'm not, you know, if it was true, if it's on TV, it's absolutely disgusting, and he should get made fun of every day for it. But yeah, there's something there. But unfortunately, the DOJ is completely politicized. We don't want to find out the corruption because it's going to lead back to the mayor. And hey, we need the mayor to make some money for my kids, and so that I could bump my son Eric up. And we're going to push the vice president off to the side, and we're going to run Eric Trump for president in 2029. So you guys can mark my words about that. Put that on whatever betting site you just put up.
I could see that. There's a lot of rumors about running Eric Trump. That would be another unbelievable turn of events, especially as he was one of the main guys starting this Eric Adams drumbeat. And he is right now a potential presidential election in 2028, and it has J.D. Vance at 28% chance over Gavin Newsom right now at 13%. But that's a little ways away, and there's a lot to happen. So
they're gonna try to sideline Vance and bump Eric Trump up, and what's gonna happen is either AOC is gonna be the president or Gavin Newsom. You know, more than likely Gavin Newsom, but that's just how I see it. That's how I'm calling it. If they're able to unseat J.D. Vance, get him out of that election somehow, they're gonna look to push Eric Trump ahead. That's just what I see. I don't know why. I just see it.
Yeah, I think the same thing. They're going to try to push Eric Trump. I already see it. There's hats. There's stuff that they're slowly dropping hints on what the future may hold for Eric Trump, who, again, he started this whole thing. He went on Sid Rosenberg's show. Oh, it was just airline upgrade tickets. And Eric's never hurt my family. You know, Mayor Adams never hurt my family.
He wanted them to get thrown in jail. I have the tweet. So we've tweeted them out so many times. So it's like,
he wanted to throw him in jail, call him white supremacist, but he's a great guy. He wants to keep my family great. And he doesn't come after us. No, he embarrassed you all over the place. That he wanted you in jail, and he commented on it, and he called you. He said that your father should never be the president. But he's a great guy. It was only airplane upgrades. Clearly, he doesn't read either, because he won't read indictments or articles. So now the last thing I want to get to before I let you go, the walkout thing with Scott Henderson, right? Once again, Deputy Chief Scott Henderson was supposed to have this walkout. And you posted this, you found this, that now it's changed here to August 7th, right? It was supposed to be tomorrow. And it's unbelievable. This is unbelievable. They're trying to prop this guy up, who is Jeffrey Madry's right-hand man. And very recently, there's a detective that he was letting her stay home. Gave her overtime, which you can't say anything about her, yet she's the one that's modified right now, and they're trying to take her job from her. He's the one that allowed it, and I am telling you that him allowing it, okay, is not as much as important as who was allowing him to do that, which is Jeffrey Madry and John Schell, because the chief of department oversee the bureaus, right? That's how this works. They have to approve overtime, all this other stuff, the codes you use. So no one's talking about that. But he allowed that. And then I believe he told her to lie on the GO15, which is the investigation. That's when Internal Affairs sits you down and ask you questions about this matter, or you'll be terminated if you answer them wrong or don't answer them the questions. So Scott Henderson is involved in that fiasco, which I covered just a couple of days ago with Eric Dim. But more importantly, he's involved in a case that John Scola is representing. Gabby Walls, who is part of the community. She's African-American. She's a captain. She's an executive, okay? She's very well qualified. She has nothing on her record, okay? Unlike these buffoons, okay? No one's coming out to her aid. She's been sexually harassed by Scott Henderson, Jeffrey Madry, and Mr. Kaz Daughtry, by the way, Juju's favorite, Kaz Daughtry, okay? No one is out there defending this woman. She can't get promoted, right? Because obviously you know how this works. If you want promotions, if you want to get up the ladder. She's stuck at captain for 3 years now. Mind you, she's had an outstanding career, okay? I know, as I worked for her, she was a sergeant. She was excellent in the street. Her cops were super active. She put her hands on perps. She was great. And she followed that suit. But unfortunately, she was spotted by Madry one day, and that was the end of it. You know, he has those glowing eyes. And they had Madry and Henderson. She was so terrified, John, she hid under a desk from these people. They were sexually harassing her, texting her. Yet Scott Henderson never modified, never suspended. But, oh, you're allowed to leave quietly. And there'll even be a walk-off for you or whatever it is, a community party for you. Yet the community has never said a word about Gabby Walls. Both African-Americans, right? Where's Patrick Gordon, by the way? Patrick Gordon jumping up and down trying to save Henderson and save Faison, and he's saying that, there's not enough black executives in the NYPD. Well, you do have one, but she was sexually harassed. You don't want to talk about her, though, because she's not part of the Crumbs crew. She's not part of the Crumbs crew, right? So let's forget about her. She deserved everything she got, right? That's the mentality of these people. So he's getting this walk-off. Yet, John, didn't Jessica Tisch say he can't have one? But yet it's still going to happen. What are your thoughts on that? That's just crazy how that's all going. It's disgusting, really. It really is.
Well, he's like, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He was supposed to have a walkout. They said, you're absolutely not having a walkout. You lied at a GO15. So he canceled that walkout. He had a small walkout at the 7-9 precinct. So he already had a walkout. Then the community was supposed to do a walkout for him. They postponed that one. And now he's going to get another one. So it's like, how many walkouts do you need? But you're 100% right. Where is the Guardians and where is the CEA to defend Captain Gabby Walls? Where are the Guardians and where is the DEA to defend the detective that he authorized to work from home, who lost a mother? No one's there to support her. So my thing is that I believe that Chief Henderson is allowing himself to be used as a pawn. And this is being orchestrated by John Schell and Kaz Daughtry in coordination with Patrick Gordon to undermine Jessica Tisch. I believe that, Kaz Daughtry is incensed on getting to the seat of the police commissioner. Watch him at all of these funerals. Watch him during all these press conferences. When he's not there, he's staring directly at Jessica Tisch with the eyes. I want that. It should be me. There's something not right in his head. So it's all being orchestrated that Jessica Tisch is a racist. These guys did nothing wrong, and they're going to look to take the seat of the police commissioner prior to this election. So even if it's for a few months, they want to get that seat, and that's being done directly with John Schell. And that's why most of the excessive discipline that you're seeing that's been happening throughout the entire Adams administration is now being blamed on Jessica Tisch. And I'm not buying it for 1 second. I'm saying that's John Schell. He's a master manipulator. He's slamming these cops. He's transferring these guys. And he's like, it's not me. It's the police commissioner. I'm not buying it. I see it clear as day. I don't have any hard proof of any of it other than what we showed you. We showed you so many different things where they got caught lying, so many different things where they're overstepping. And just one more note on Kaz Daughtry. When he does these media appearances, you hear him talk about Eric Adams. but he shows up to all these community events. And I speak to a lot of different council people. I speak to the chiefs of staff. I speak to the council people, far left, far right, whatever you want to say, right, left, moderate. I speak to them all, and they all say the same thing. He shows up unannounced at these unrecorded council hearings, and the only thing he talks about is I did this, I did that, I did this. He's trying to sell himself as he's going to be the next mayor. The kid is absolutely delusional. He is the hero in his favorite movie. You know, it's insane. And Eric Adams allowed this kid to run wild.
Yeah. And also I want to point out that Tom Donlan's lawsuit filed by John Scola mentions a lot of this stuff. And I don't think that for 1 second, Jessica Tisch, as the police commissioner, although she's a soccer mom and knows nothing of the NYPD culture, which is why she's being overrun here. Same things that happened on the Donlan, which were happening on the Caban, which I will find out in my own lawsuit whether this happened with Sewell, which I think there's a lot that's pointing in that direction that it did. I for 1 second, not for 1 second, don't believe that Jessica Tisch, it's going on under her right now. The rubber stamps, the end arounds, all this stuff. I know she has a hold of the transfers, but I don't know about discipline. Does everything show up on her desk? Because remember, these guys are still floating around, Kaz Daughtry and them. And here, you know, Patrick Donahue says, shout out to Patty in the chat. He says, I'm anxiously awaiting Scott Monroe to come out and make a statement in support of the detective who Chief Henderson allowed to work from home for over a year after she was modified. Can we get someone, Scott Monroe, who now, you know, he endorsed Eric Adams. He's made a complete clown of, you know, he looks like a clown out there now. I'm just going to say it. Where are you for the members? She is modified right now for doing what she's told to do by Henderson, who's a absolute creep. He's a creep. I mean, I just, this kind of stuff disgusts me, John. It just does. It just does. I can't believe. And Patrick Donahue also said, though, Henderson walkout saga is nothing more than loyalists attempting to change the narrative. Perception management. But the point is, where is the union to defend that detective? She's modified right now, John. I don't know what to say. She's modified. They went after Epps. Meanwhile, she's only doing what she's told to do. And you know that if you don't do things, what could happen to you? And that's the crew that Henderson hangs around. He's right in the middle of the Madry, Kaz Daughtry, Eric Adams, that little circle, the Crumbs crew, Pearson, Banks. So I don't know how this guy gets a walkout. He should be getting a perp walk, is more like it. That's what he should be. I mean, no one is defending Gabby Walls. No one. Anyone in this chat, anywhere, if you can't see that, no one's supporting Gabby Walls. Other than what? This platform here supports her. I know her personally, and I know her husband. I work with her husband, okay? She doesn't deserve this garbage from this clown and his crew. Yet you're going to walk him out. You're going to act like he's a hero, Scott Henderson. What other things that we don't know about their woman mama? Because all these guys have so many skeletons, I lost count. But Patrick Gordon says to bow down to them because not enough black executives are being promoted in NYPD. So why don't we promote Gabby Walls?
No, and that's always my thing with the Hispanic Society or the Guardians. It's like, where are the names? Give us the names of who you think should have been promoted. But you don't say that. You're like, no. I don't care who it is. Just promote black people. I don't care who it is. Just promote Hispanic people. It's like, no, I think it matters who it is. I think it matters their character. I think it matters their work ethic. I think it matters overall, not just for white people or Hispanic people or black people or Muslim cops or Chinese cops. I think it matters for all the hardworking people in the NYPD. We want to incentivize people to continue to work and give them a reason to do so. When you give bums anything they want just based upon the color of their skin, communist thing, it decentivizes people to work because you're like, regardless of how hard I work, I'm never getting there anyway. So why am I bothering? And so, to me, it's just, again, it's just another idiot blabbing his mouth, and he's up there in a seat of power, and no one's really listening to what they're saying. And it's absolutely disgraceful. And really what his messages is screw all the hardworking black cops. Monroe's message is screw all the hardworking detectives. I'm going to do what's better for me, and I'm going to promote who's better for me and my brand. And the whole thing is absolutely disgusting, you know. And what do New York City residents think? You think that they should support the police department? You should support the police department that was going out and shaking people around, that was giving a twin brother a security crew to go around and shake down businesses? You think that that's something that a normal person should support? Listen, my father never liked the police. My family never liked the police. It was like a big thing when I was becoming a cop. It was a big thing in my neighborhood, and it was a big thing in my family. And you know, and the thing was, they said they don't trust the police department. They're dirty, you know, and you know, and here you go. This is what they didn't like. This is what they saw that was going on back then that I didn't see because I was a young kid. And here it is again. We're reliving the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're living the bad old days with the corruption scandals, and it's disgusting.
And how they handle things, and then they come after innocent people that are critical of them. They come after, right? That was the other thing they love doing. They love to smear the victims. Eric Adams is the king of that, by the way. And then they go after their critics. And they say, oh, well, people disgruntled employee. Am I a disgruntled employee too? I mean, I know one idiot in the chat in particular is going to say, oh, yeah, of course, you, John, you're all disgruntled employees. He's of the minority, by the way. But, like, we're discussing me, right, for 1 minute. What did you think last week when we discussed this whole thing about John Shell, right? He's on the Thursday rant, which, by the way, look out, it's Thursday night. Thursdays.
Happy hour, baby.
Happy hour. This guy goes on an unhinged rant against all three of us. Then we had the show, and, you know, those clips, that show went viral that we discussed that stuff. And then I said, you know what? I have to go after this guy because he personally attacked someone who is in a litigation with them right now. He's the top uniform executive, and he's telling me you're fired on the internet, which, by the way, violates the U.S. Code, I believe 83, which is for the Manel claim for the city. So I filed an internal affairs complaint on him because you have to do that. And again, for those who don't know, okay, you have to. What happens when you file a lawsuit against the New York City Police Department? John can tell you, internal affairs is supposed to open up a log number. The log number is because you're suing someone, and in that lawsuit, you are basically doing complaints that would go towards internal affairs. Of course, under Eric Adams, we know this has not been going on. So in order for me to then move in motion to the court to depose John Shell, you must file an internal affairs complaint and have a log number. And it's because of that post. An executive cannot be saying that from an agency who the litigant is suing. He's saying that in regards to them, disparaging them. That violates United States Code, I believe, 83. I mean, it's on there. I don't know the exact number, but that's what it essentially does. So I filed that. And of course, a lot of Joe coppers or cops that like to hang around Jimmy Rodriguez and them at Conso Frito or Sobro Gone, whatever it is they do, they had a little bit of stupid things to say amongst themselves. The majority and the general population applaud that move because that is highly unprofessional, unethical, and actually disgraceful of someone that's the top uniformed officer in an executive in a police agency to even go on social media and do something like that. Because it wasn't just me. It was actually John and Eric. I mean, he was doing all kinds of hashtags too. So what are your thoughts on all of that, plus the internal affairs complaint, due to me having to now motion in my intention to motion to depose this guy in my case for stating that?
You know, I think, you know, like you're saying, he's just, you know, John Shell to me is a DEI hire as well. Just because he's a white Irish guy doesn't mean anything. You know, he's unqualified. He's had an awful career, but he kisses the ring and they bring him in. He's someone that's tied to nepotism. His rise through the ranks has been a rise of failure. So he doesn't have the professionalism that people had in the past. People are going to be critical of you in those positions, especially top tier positions. But again, you're not representing John Shell. You're representing the New York City Police Department. So even when people are making claims against you, like, you know, we're very critical of them online. We're very critical of them on the podcast. It's still actions that are unbecoming of an officer. And let's not forget, I also have a civil rights claim against the NYPD. And he said that I left on my own. I made that decision. So again, not only is he opening himself up for litigation in one lawsuit, he's opening up litigations for himself in 2 lawsuits. And who ultimately pays for that? The New York City Police Department, the New York City taxpayer. And, you know, and for all the people that are commenting like, oh, you dropped an IAB log on him. Yeah, you're damn right I did. That, you know, you're 100% right for doing it. And I'm, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what, I should probably drop one on him too. Because, you know, how many IAB logs? I'm like, this guy goes out and transfers people for not saluting Kaz Daughtry. He ruins their careers. He takes away time with their kids, with their wives, from bringing their children to their soccer games or wherever they have to go. And he has no issue with it. And you think that we should feel bad about calling out the unprofessionalism and the things that, by the way, if a rank and file member of the NYPD did, they'd be suspended immediately and be transferred and get hit with take away numerous vacation days. So, yeah, I mean, is IAB going to do anything about it? No, they're going to do exactly what they did in the case against me and Eric. They're going to go after the lower ranking people. They're going to discipline people. They're going to hide. And they're going to deflect. They're going to just deflect the case. Because, I mean, I'll say it again. NYPD's Internal Affairs Bureau needs to be dismantled. It just should. You know, it's ineffective. It's toothless. It goes after hardworking cops that don't know any better or don't know anyone. If you know somebody, you could be shaking down businesses. You could be helping drug dealers. You could be extorting people. You could do anything you want. You could take money under the table. You could do off-duty security. You could take money from anybody you want and do anything you want because nothing's going to come of it because they're just going to they're going to sweep it under the rug. That's what they do. They're the cleanup boys. They're the cleanup boys for the politically connected. That's all they do.
I see it the same way, and I think you should. Because you do have a lawsuit, so he didn't disparage you. It's true. He can't see. You can't teach, you know, smarts. He's clearly a guy. Again, comes into work. He's inebriated half the time. Apparently, I mean, this is coming from people that are right next to you, John Show, and that whole thing that he did. Someone who's not inebriated and a little smarter would know you don't engage if you don't have to. And he's also blurring the lines between what's his official account, what's his chief of department account. Because remember the article where I was commenting on is he's going to all these shows, he's getting travel expenses paid by Dr. Phil. He goes on these shows as chief of department John Shell, not John Shell, who has nothing to do with the police department. He loves to blur those lines, and he actually violated the Hatch Act with his NYPD account. And now here he is on the fire yet again, using his personal account, but using it for NYPD purposes. Is that why you ran Eric Dim's arrest record and put his number of arrests out there also? And he disparaged multiple precincts, basically said that you were like, whatever you did on the job means nothing. And that being a tough guy on Newsmax and running around with Kaz Daughtry and doing that's what matters in NYPD, because that's what it looked like. He disparaged everyone on the job, which is why he is either 1, 2, or 3 as the most hated people in New York City and the New York City Police Department. It's Eric Adams, Kaz Daughtry, and then John Shell. Either, I don't know what order they are, but they keep fighting amongst who's the most hated.
No, I think that's the order. I think you nailed it. 1, 2, 3. I think you nailed
1, 2, 3. That's what's going on there. And that's why. And you have one person in particular on here that I don't know if he's paid, but December 31st, I don't know what's going to happen to those 3. This guy in the chat in particular, I keep saying it might take a long walk off a short pier. Who knows? Because this is coming to an end. This is a regime in its final hours, and this is how they lash out. And this one, though, is going to cost New York City taxpayers. Everyone that doesn't understand how the courts work, talk to a lawyer. What he did was wrong, and New York City will have to answer it. So John was right when he said, remember he told these chiefs and one of the clients of John Scola, what do I care? I'll be in Florida in 2 or 3 years, and I'll be getting deposed from there. Yeah, maybe even in the same neighborhood. He's going to have to answer for this. That I could tell you. And I think you should do the same. he should have to answer for this. This is completely unprofessional, and there should be guidelines, which he doesn't follow, but guidelines that state no matter who you are, I don't care who you're connected to, you get modified, suspended. If you speak out online or you disparage people and you're an executive, because that's conduct unbecoming an officer. Sorry, that's just the truth.
You know, I just for Juju, like it's the funniest thing. You know, whenever I'm in New York City or even here in Florida, when I run into cops here, they love us, dude. They love us. You know, like they come over, hey, what's up, bro? Can I take a picture with you? And I'm like, dude, I'm a cop like you, bro. You know, and it's like, you know, I'm nobody, dude. You know, I'm just sick of it. I just got sick of it, you know. But like that's the thing, you know, people think like, oh, there's so much hate that we have. We have a bunch of skells, a couple handful. The majority of New Yorkers love this platform, love us. The overwhelming majority of the NYPD, rank and file, love this platform, love us. And, you know, when these guys retire and they have no more power, they're going to see how little they were really liked and how that was just fear that attracted people to them, or they said the things that they wanted to say. I walk around New York City, I get nothing but love, dude, all day long. You know, even I was at One Police Plaza all day long. Love, love, love. Not like these guys. These guys do not have that same thing, and it's because they're not honest. And again, John Shell has every right to defend himself, but you have to be smart when you're a public official. He's a public official. Once you take your personal account and start discussing department business, it's no longer a personal account. You know, you're not a retired member of service. You're not a member of the Finest Unfiltered, John. You're not. So, you know, maybe one day you'll have your national PCast. No one's going to fucking listen to it, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? Well, whenever we share a clip of it, we'll get you some views, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, he won't, you know, I would say, John, you could come on here, but he'll be answering for a lot of stuff that I know that I haven't said. And he won't like that because unlike others, John Shell, you and I worked together. I'm sure you remember those days. So be careful what you disparage me and come after me. Look, I'm commenting on things that you've done. I don't think you should be a police officer. You know, you should be forced to resign right now and quit. But you know, Eric Adams doesn't have a bone in his butt. He has no backbone. Tish is a soccer mom. You know, she's like, where am I? She doesn't know. She's in the New York State Police Department. But the things that you do, you know that you're unethically corrupt and inept, and you shouldn't be on that job. You should have retired a long time ago. You should have left while you still could. You know, you had a reputation for a while, and then it just went down over the years because of your close connections to the Crumbs crew and the Conza Frito crew. That's what really destroyed you. Because for a while, people almost forgot that you killed someone. But then it came back around like a boomerang, right? Because you just can't keep your mouth shut, you and your friends, and you think you're just going to disparage people and walk all over them, and that wasn't the case. So before you leave, John, Frankie Pagliucci, great friend of the podcast, shout out to you. $9.99 to the podcast. I will be getting some espresso on you later. Liars and manipulators despise the truth. And I think I couldn't say any better. I think that he's 100% on target with that. So, John, any last words before you leave? I know I had you on a little long, but there was a lot to talk about there.
Nah, just honored to join you, brother. You know, I'm excited. The show's doing great. I mean, I think, you know, I think the platform as a whole, we're growing. And, you know, I appreciate everybody on here in the chat. And, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out. This election's going to be one for the ages, dude. So there's going to be a lot more stuff coming. And, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm having a great time, you know, excited to go along on the journey with you guys. And you know, Sal Greco Show, baby. Love it. Thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. And tomorrow you'll be on at 8:05 in the morning. So everyone should be checking out in the morning. It'll be a round table, I'm sure, between John, Eric, and Marlon. We'll see who else joins him. There's so much to talk about. And from here to now, it'll be something else. So there's always something. So with that being said, let's bring on the producer, Jack, who's probably listening on all that stuff and was saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! I can't believe a new thing on the Cabans and Shell. It never ends, Jack. It never ends. It's a soap opera that never ends.
No, it never ends. And I actually have some breaking news to get to here involving Mayor Eric Adams. Surprise, surprise. New York City man pleads guilty in fraud scheme linked to lawsuit naming firm founded by Frank Carone. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. So yeah. Carone, if you don't know who he is, was a former chief of staff and a close aide to Eric Adams, and the lawsuit accuses him of submitting fraudulent auto insurance claims. Ironic that it's related to auto insurance when Edward Caban was taking like $5,000 to do those stupid little auto ads with the Hispanic company, right? It's kind of like the headlines write themselves. No, but he is accused of taking about $10 million in either fraudulent or over-exaggerated claims where the value of the amount that was being sought was blown out of the water. So he's taken a lot of money, and this is kind of another bad thing on Eric Adams's long resume of red flags now at this point in time.
Frank Carone, who had his hands in this Ferry Links thing, whatever, this casino thing that's going on behind the scenes, Frank Carone was being investigated too. And of course, he went at that meeting in West Palm Beach at Trump's golf course where Eric came for that one day to discuss quid pro quo stuff. And Frank Carone was at that meeting. And then his case also, what happened, he was being investigated by Eastern District of New York, not the Southern, the Eastern District. He had ties to that church. There's funds that were missing, and Frank Carone's all over that. Yeah. Now look, Frank Carone running high yet again. Trump administration, I don't know. It's the federal version of the Eric Adams administration. I mean, it's the best. I don't know. Can you describe it that way? And it's sad because I want Trump to succeed as a president, and there's a lot of things he's doing that's good, in my opinion, tariff stuff like that. But how do you ignore this? The law part is atrocious. He has no idea what he's doing. Justice Department, and he clearly, this is why lawyers get elected to office, because they know how to use the Justice Department, and this guy doesn't. You could scream all you want about Obama. Obama was a lawyer. He knew how to handle the Justice Department. People don't like what they did, but he let people, get indicted, go to jail. He let them do what they were supposed to do, but he knows how to run it, even though he technically the de facto head as the president, but he, as a lawyer, understands what he's doing. He understands the parameters of the Justice Department because he's a lawyer. So that's why lawyers predominantly get elected to office. They understand how that works. Trump, a finance guy who was suing people just to slow them down from suing him, has no idea how that system works. And you could see it. He's a complete novice, in my opinion. And I wouldn't have no problem telling him in his face that he has no idea how to run the Justice Department. All of the stuff that's coming out is bad. It's bad. And now this, here, Frank Carone, why is he in handcuffs? Where was his indictment? What happened with all of that?
All of the evidence needed to convict him at some point in time, especially when the House potentially flips to a Democratic majority in 2026, is on the table. That has to be a very worrisome thought as we sit here 6 months into a 4-year term. That's absolutely embarrassing. And everything that's unfolded in Washington to this point is not only not good for him, but it's not good for the Republican Party. I put this up on the screen earlier. This is a graphic of the updated odds for the 2028 election. Right now, J.D. Vance is the front runner with a 28% shot at winning. Obviously, that's subject to change as well, but Vance is not getting good publicity given his association with Trump either. So I'm curious to see how that relationship develops as time goes along. Remember, everyone out there watching should keep in mind that Mike Pence and Donald Trump, a marriage which seemed like it was destined for a long-term relationship at one point in time, ended up crumbling very quickly at the end, and he wasn't even considered to be his vice president when Trump ran again. But in the spirit of discussing today's topic of discussion about public corruption in New York City, I want to kind of peel back.
There's lots of it, Jack. There's so much of it. I lost count. You just showed some more.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to kind of peel back the curtain and give everyone a behind the scenes look at what we do here on The Finest Unfiltered. We talked about requesting Christy Marmorato coming on our show. We've had a number of requests recently to members of the New York City Council. I'm going to highlight City Council specifically, and I'm going to be like this rat from the Department of Investigation who feels the need to take out the trash to expose them, because there have been numerous instances where I've reached out to a city council member's office, and I was put in touch with an intern who has told me they were in charge of scheduling interviews, researching policies, writing proposals, doing just about everything that the member of city council that they're supposed to be working for is supposed to be doing. And then I've also been told by various people, I've been ignored by some who were supposed to come on the show to discuss various things that were happening in their district in a bad sense. But even more worrisome, I've been given excuses by members of city council. Oh, I think I have a dinner to get to this night. I have a speaking engagement. When major things are happening in your district, you cannot be MIA. City council members in New York City are paid $150,000 a year, and the lack of accountability. Remember, I'm the guy who came out and said when Eric Adams is not transparent about what's going on in City Hall, yeah, he doesn't have to tell you guys what's going on. He has an in-house communications team, a great social media account. He can control the coverage. I get that that's where we are in this point in time, in this day and age. But at the same time, you do have a civic responsibility to at least show up and do your job. It's very concerning for me to find out that an intern who is only working for your office in the summer is in charge of writing policies, representing you at meetings, talking to everyone on your behalf. Like, what is going on here where an unpaid intern is doing all of those things? I'm not naming names. I'm not calling people out. I'm just challenging the New York City Council members who represent your districts to be a whole lot better.
I also want to let people know that it's not just Republicans, it's Democrats too. I'm not a guy that says, oh, just Republicans. I talk to everyone, even Democrats. I'm not one of those people. Obviously, you can tell that I am critical of just about anyone. I'm not going to not disparage. I'm not going to say anything because they're Republican. No, I'm not going to say anything because they're Democrat. Let's hear what they have to say is what I have to say about it. But I see this comment here. Bubba the Love Sponge today announced he has dirt on mouth of the Sal Jimmy Hart. I hope Sal gets the scoop. You know, I heard today why, it's been a week that my hero and idol, Hulk Hogan, passed away. They said he had a heart attack, and it was because he had leukemia that he was dealing with. And he also had a problem with irregular heartbeat. And no one even knew that he was battling this. I don't know for how long, but he was battling this. And basically, your body gives out. I mean, he had a lot of problems. And Bubba the Love Sponge, who was his friend, not his friend, but Bubba the Love Sponge, who I don't know him directly, but I know he knows a friend of mine very good. He was on this. He said that he was, in a hospital, home. He wasn't feeling good. He's been pretty accurate over a lot of stuff. So if he says he's got something on Jimmy Hart, who's the Mouth of the South, which was his manager in the wrestling ring, but really he was Hulk Hogan's, one of his closest people around him, quite possibly a quasi-manager himself. That's pretty concerning, because if there's anything because I remember he did post that he was doing fine and he was confined to his home. Hulk Hogan, he wasn't at the karaoke bar like he said. So that was a little disingenuous. And I understand he want to protect Hulk, but we love the guy. We just want to hear honesty about him. Is he okay? What's going on with Hulk Hogan? Nobody saw him for so long, And yeah, that's what he said. Bubba said, I'm heartbroken to hear of Terry's passing. As everyone knows, we had our issues, and those issues were mostly my fault. I loved him as a friend while he was with us, and will continue to love his memory as a friend going forward. I don't think he's wrong about this stuff. And you could say what you want, that he's doing it for his personal gain or whatever, but he's not wrong. And people should be asking the questions of how this was handled and what happened. He's an icon. Hulk Hogan is a cultural icon, but remembered for generations. He affected generations, 4 decades worth of generations, okay? people deserved more than what they got as far as the information. I understand you might want to keep it private, but Bubba knew something that no one else was saying. So shout out to Bubba, the love sponge. But I guess Chronicles Collapse is not sure if that was Hogan, but lots of people have a regular heartbeat. Post-surgery, he could have had clots. That's true because he had a back surgery or neck surgery. So, again, I mean, you know, all I can say is rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. My condolences to his family as well, who I cherish the guy. You couldn't tell me anything that'll ever turn my opinion of Hulk Hogan. I love the guy. He's not perfect. Neither are other rappers that sing their songs mentioning the same words that he said that you illegally taped them on, by the way. So in Florida, I don't even think you could tape anyone. So the whole thing, which is why I got paid minorly. But if you're going to start judging people, look at your latest rap song and then tell me you have no problem. Oh, Hulk Hogan is a racist. But so if you sing songs about the same thing he says and then talk about skeet, skeet, gat, gat, shooting my mother, doing this, killing that one, mentioning women in a disparaging manner, that's okay. Oh, he's entertaining people. That's okay. And then someone goes and does what they do the other day, and they might be influenced by these people singing these songs, but don't discuss that. Don't discuss that. Hulk Hogan's a bad guy. You should be canceled for being a Hulkamaniac. Give me a break. That's what society.
I mean, the thing with Hulk Hogan too, and this is kind of a parting thought for the day, just like you, just like me, just like a lot of members of the Finest Unfiltered family, he had an incredibly polarizing personality. I mean, everyone either absolutely loved him and was standing in the first row at WrestleMania chanting his name and cheering for him, or they were booing him and absolutely hated him. Not exactly sure why, probably because he was very much so a wear my heart on my sleeve type of a guy before social media, before the internet, before all of that was kind of the mainstream way of behaving. I would have liked to have seen how people would have reacted to Hulk Hogan had he come up in this era instead of the 70s and 80s. It was such a different time that I think he might have been received a little bit more positively in today's day and age.
Yeah. Again, I feel bad for, Hulk Hogan's my hero. I could care less what anyone says about him. I honor the guy. My family loved this guy growing up. He meant so much to so many people. I can tell you growing up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, people were in the street. Hulkamania, what you going to do? We were all kids. We watched this religiously. It was like our way of life was wrestling was part of it. And Hulk Hogan was a part of that. Years later, look, anyone, you can say that about anyone. They did that about Michael Jackson. They said that about Prince. There's always going to be something out there. No one is perfect, and they'll do anything to tear down someone. They did it even with me, a little known, a guy that was just in the police department, another one out of 36,000 people. So, but it doesn't change the fact of what he was, what he meant, how he lived his life, and then how he tried to affect people. Where guy used to stop dead in the street to talk to the fans, And I know Lone Silencer says they attacked fitness influencer Joey Swole for posting a tribute to Hulk Hogan, showing a Halloween photo of him in the gym working out in a Hogan costume that Hulk sent them. The woke mob is ridiculous. It is. And they act like they're all, we're perfect, I don't know what to say, but that's how I feel, and I'll always back Hulk Hogan. And God rest his soul, and I'm sure he's up there with the rest of the cast of the former wrestlers that are no longer with us, and they're looking down, saying, "My oh my, I can't believe some of the things that some of these people are saying." Tune in tomorrow. Finest Unfiltered 8:05 live. We're gonna have the round table. Executive Perspective, check that out every Wednesday, 17:05, 5:05 Eastern. That was on yesterday. You can watch that on replays. And also on Tuesdays, the 10-4 Tavern. That's on at 7 p.m. Every Tuesday. So you can check that out. This is Finest Unfiltered. We have plenty going on. I'll be at the Marlins game on Saturday. Yankees versus Marlins. That ought to be something. The trade deadline should be over. We'll know what's going on by then. But the Marlins have been a hot team. So let's see what's going on with the Marlins. I'll be at the game. Maybe I'll film something for the show if I can. But we'll see you at the Marlins game. I will also be on InfoWars today at 5:30 Eastern with Owen Schroyer on the War Room, the real War Room. So you can check that out. I'll be on there at 5:30. That's it today for the Sal Greco Show. Thank you all for tuning in. I love you all, the haters and the fans. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. Don't forget to tune in to the Finds Unfiltered in the morning. And if you're an officer out there, please be safe, be cognizant of your surroundings. And may God bless the family of Officer Islam. And again, I send my deepest condolences. And don't forget to go to Barstool, buy that shirt. Please buy that shirt if you can, and give all the proceeds to that family, okay? So shout out to Dave Portnoy once again. That's it from South Florida, because as you know, it is a sunny place for shady people.
So this is a biblical moment. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them. Are you stupid?